And one more time, it's the Horror Guys.
Horror Guys with episode 201.
That's a lot of episodes.
That's a lot of movies.
Of course, if you do want to go back and check out all the old episodes, over 1,000 movies, go to horrorguyspodcast.com and...
Just bring it up and put it on continuous play in the background and just let it go night and day.
Or you can search for the movie you want to hear about.
Okay, all right. You could hear the specific ones, I guess, too.
Yeah, so it's over 1,000 movies at this point. This week we've only got 4 movies and a short.
Plus we got bonus ones that we talk about sometimes, too.
We do.
Yeah.
Well, what do we got this week?
Bonus-wise or regular-wise?
Regular-wise.
Well, regular-wise, we are not going to be able to spoil them a whole lot because we got 4 brand new movies. We have Speak No Evil, an international film, and then somebody meets up with an old stalker buddy in Resurrection, and then Deadstream instead of a live stream, and we have Night of the Tommyknockers, a kind of indie-ish movie.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And of course we'll throw in a short
new.
there in the middle.
Yeah.
And that's this week's podcast. Over at horrorbulletin.com, where you could sign up for our free weekly newsletter, you get 2 bonus reviews. What do we got this week?
Fresh from 2022.
I like my food fresh.
Yes. And Spider Baby, or The Maddest Story Ever Told, which is a 1967 black and white comedy horror that's got Lon Chaney Jr. in it.
And a very, very early Sid Haig.
Yeah, they crossed over. One guy was just beginning his career and another guy ending it.
Yeah,
And,
it was weird.
And it's one weird movie, and pretty darn funny, too. I think it's held up, the humor, a lot of it held up really well.
Absolutely, yeah.
That was worth checking out.
All right, so with 201 episodes in, we're like almost 4 years old at this point.
Almost.
3 years ago,
It was Thanksgiving.
it was.
And did you know that there are Thanksgiving horror movies?
There are at least 4 of them that we reviewed that week.
I'm sure there's more than 4 out there.
Way back on episode 48, we looked at 4 of them. We looked at Blood Freak, about a serial killer who turns into a turkey on Thanksgiving.
And we saw the original from 1972. There's actually a remake they did in 2020 that we haven't gotten around to seeing
We
yet.
got to see that sometimes.
Yeah.
Then we saw Thankskilling, and Thankskilling 3, where they look for Thankskilling 2 that never existed. Mm-hmm. And this is a serial killer that is a turkey.
Mad turkey.
Oh, yeah, he is.
Profane potty mouth turkey.
And Poultrygeist, a fun trauma movie.
Traumas.
Gobble Gobble, everybody.
Yeah. Traumas are always awesome.
And you can find that over at horrorguys.com/HG048, because it's episode 48.
And HG stands for Horror Guys.
It does.
Yeah.
Of course, you can find that over at horrorguyspodcast.com.
You know, I saw this book that just came out recently. It was really interesting. All about Roger Corman.
What, the Horror Guy's Guide to the Horror Films of Roger Corman?
That's the one.
I read that too. It's awesome.
You didn't just read it, you wrote it.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, all the horror films directed by Roger Corman. Everybody knows about those Vincent Price movies, but he did a whole lot of other ones.
He's a prodigious guy in the business.
Oh, yeah, he is. Yeah, go over to horrorguyshop.com and pick that one up. You can get it as an ebook, you can get it as a paperback, and they're all pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that's all we got to say this week, because our first movie is Speak No Evil from 2022.
Directed by Christian
Oh, you're going to love these names.
Tarfdrup. When we apologize if we're murdering these names. Written by Christian Tarfdrup, I think it is. Okay. Mads Tarfdrup.
Yeah, I'm not going to help this time. I'm not going to
say
do
it different
I'm not
every
helping.
time. Yeah. Stars Morten Borgen, Sidsel CM Koch, Rija Van Hoot, and Karina Smolders.
I think you're just making up sounds at this point.
Runtime is 1 hour and 37 minutes.
Yeah, spoiler free what happens.
Well, it starts out slow. Stick with this one. If you watch it, it gets really good. Horribly good and realistic in ways that aren't expected.
Yeah, if you watch the trailer, there's two different couples that meet, I don't know, on vacation somewhere. And the one couple invites
They're
the
on
other
holiday.
to come stay with them for a week at their vacation house up in...
I think it's their house.
Yeah, Norway, Sweden. Where was this from?
I got them mixed up.
Yeah, me too.
Because there's Denmark and Sweden and
one of them cold places where they talk funny.
They're not from the same country, but they're from the same region.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And hilarity ensues.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, here we go with the full thing. Well, not the full thing, but some of it.
don't-
We're not going to spoil all of
Can't
these.
spoil it.
No, these are all too new for that.
Yeah.
Patrick and Karen drive down a dark country road in the middle of the night with their son Abel. They arrive at the resort in Tuscany. Bjorn and Louise are there as well, from Holland, along with daughter Agnes. So they're from Holland, but this doesn't take place in Holland.
No.
All right, well, Bjorn and Patrick meet briefly during the day, and Patrick makes a friendly dinner toast to the group, which gets him noticed. Friends Hannah and Derek do nothing but talk about their boring cooking class, and while they're all sitting around being bored, Bjorn notices Patrick staring at him during a concert. And at this point, I'm thinking, oh, is this a budding romance? It's not.
It's not.
Patrick
It's
is
not
a
that kind of
doctor,
movie.
and they soon all become friends. Bjorn and Louise get home, and they find a postcard inviting them to the Dutch countryside. So that's where this takes place, in Dutch land.
Dutch. Well, and yeah. Well, in the official description, a Danish family
Danish! There you
visits
go.
a Dutch family. But I'm not clear on the politics and the regions and because there's Holland and Dutch and
I think Dutch is Netherlands.
yeah, but the Netherlands and which is which and what's what. I'm really not familiar with that, and I apologize because I'm not familiar with that region of the world geographically and politically. But anyway, they're two distinct areas.
It's got a character named Bjorn. That's all you need to know.
Okay.
Well, Bjorn wants to go, but Louise doesn't think they know them well enough. What's the worst that can happen? Someone asks. They go. Patrick offers. Well, we find out, don't we?
We do. Yeah.
Patrick offers Louise some of the roast he spent all day cooking, and she's a vegetarian, but she gives in and tries it anyway. Little Abel is creepy and silent. Karen says that Abel was born without a tongue. The next day, Abel won't get off the slide so Agnes can try it, and Patrick is way meaner than he needs to be. Almost a child abuse situation.
Mm-hmm.
Almost.
Almost.
This finally turns her off from staying the weekend, so that she wants to leave. Bjorn doesn't want to go yet.
That would be impolite.
Yeah.
They're very polite
They're
people.
very polite.
They're too polite.
Too polite, yeah. The adults go out to dinner, and the kids are going to stay behind with Mujahid, a babysitter. No one told Louise about this in advance, and she's not happy at all, leaving her kid with this strange guy.
Yeah. She thought the kids were coming to dinner, too.
Yeah. Patrick gets totally drunk at dinner. Patrick and Karen dance, and they almost have sex on the dance floor. They are really into this dancing.
Dirty dancing.
Bjorn and Louise are quite a bit more reserved, and Bjorn isn't pleased when he finds out the dinner is on him. Hey, you're paying after we eat.
Surprise.
Patrick drives home drunk, weaving through the woods with everyone in the car. And that's a tense little scene there.
It was, yeah.
Well, they make it home eventually, and everyone's fine. And we're going to stop talking there because no, we won't. Let's keep going a little bit.
A little more.
Louise takes a shower and is creeped out when Patrick comes in to brush his teeth in the middle of it. Louise and Bjorn have sex and ignore Agnes calling out, wanting to come in. The little girl eventually quiets down. But later, she finds little Agnes asleep in the bed of the other couple. They're both sleeping naked with the little girl in between them. It's not their kid.
Yeah.
Louise wants to go home now, in the middle of the night. They all get in the car and leave. Agnes forgot her stuffed rabbit and starts to cry. Bjorn turns around and goes back.
See, and
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sorry, kid. We'll buy you 2 stuffed rabbits when we get back home. We'll buy you 2 stuffed rabbits and an elephant. We'll just
And we're
keep
going to
going.
stop being so damn polite.
Yeah.
Yeah, these people, if they had been a little less polite, things might
Things
have
would have
turned
gone
differently.
differently. Yeah. Anyway, it's really good.
All right, commentary time. First, I wouldn't have turned around and gone back for a stuffed rabbit in the first place.
Yeah.
Second, I wouldn't have lingered with the apologies for saying goodbye the second time. After the dance abusing thing that we haven't talked about yet, I would have sure left then. Maybe people from Holland are just really, really, really into not insulting their hosts. But yeah, these people, they weren't good friends. They only met them one time.
Mm-hmm.
If you never heard from them again, it's not a great loss.
Just leave. Yeah.
It's very awkward and uncomfortable for the first hour, and then it goes off the rails horribly. Just when you thought it was one thing, it changes tracks and becomes something even worse and far more realistic. I thought it was kind of slow, almost boring for the first half hour, but it gets really good the further it goes.
Yeah, it does.
And we both definitely recommend this one.
Monstrous people.
Yeah.
Not monsters. Yeah.
The next time you go to, like, a vacation and someone invites you over to their house, well, don't do it. And next up, we have one from 2022 also called Resurrection. Written and directed by Andrew Siemens, stars Rebecca Hall, Tim Roth, and Grace Kaufman. Hour and 43 minutes, trailer in the show notes. And right off the bat, this one ended, and we're like, what?
What just happened?
And
what
usually,
was that ending?
my one of the ways I can tell a good movie is when you're talking about it the next day.
And
you're
we were.
still thinking about what went on the next day.
And we were.
This is a movie I did not enjoy, but I was still talking about the next day.
So therefore,
I guess it's good.
it moved in, yeah.
But
as far as the inconclusive ending, I was, and I often, when there's a movie I don't understand.
No spoilers.
There's articles out on the web, where people will explain endings of movies or what happened in movies or give, things. And nobody really had an explanation out there. And so I found this article about the people who made it, the two main actors and the director talking about stuff about it. And
they didn't know either.
They were vague about it. Yeah, the director and writer, he was like, yeah, well, it kind of means this and might mean that. And okay. So
it was like, remember the Sopranos ending? What happened? Mm-hmm. People debated that for 2 or 3 years until the director eventually explained it, and they shouldn't have explained it. They should have left it plain.
Yeah, should have.
Spoiler-free, after some consideration, we think it might be best to think of this as a twisted modern fairy tale. It's well made with great performances, and the dialogue is excellent. How much is real and how much isn't? We really don't know. It's good to go into this one blind and prepared to be puzzled and pondering when you're done.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you can get spoiled a little bit.
Margaret listens to a younger woman complain about her abusive boyfriend, and then she walks back to her office as credits roll. She goes home and has sex with her boyfriend, Peter, and she asks how his wife is doing. And then she goes in to wake up her daughter, Abby. So we've met most of the main characters.
Almost.
Yeah. At work, she gives a presentation. She has a high-level corporate job in the medical field. She seems very intelligent and capable. At home, Abby says she found a tooth in her wallet, but it's not hers.
That never did get explained, did it?
It never did.
That was weird.
Yeah. Well, we see that Margaret runs a lot, and that night she's in bed with Peter again and gets a call from Abby, who is in the hospital, injured after drunkenly falling off a bicycle. Abby complains that her mother is always overprotective. Well, she talks to the abused woman at work again, once again promises to keep it all confidential.
She's not a counselor. She's not a therapist.
But
it's just like
acting that way for this, maybe she's kind of a mentor for this younger woman.
The young woman wants a letter of recommendation at some point.
Yeah, or moving up in the field, yeah. Well, she goes to a conference, and it's kind of boring and yucky, and she's looking around at all the people, and she sees someone in the audience that really upsets her. And, to the point she gets up and runs out. She runs all the way home to check on Abby.
Literally runs.
Yeah, you can see she's really shaken up, just seeing this guy sitting there. Well, then she goes to the bathroom and cries, and she starts Googling David Moore, biologist, and tells Abby that Abby is staying home tonight. And then she nods off and dreams of cooking a baby in the oven.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, that's weird.
Mm-hmm. Well, next day, she calls Peter to have sex in the bathroom at work. But he's not really into it, doing it there and that last minute. And,
Well, he's cheating on his wife.
He's cheating on his wife. And
in the office where they both work.
Yeah. So he's not into it. Anyway, she goes home and gets drunk with almost 18 years old Abby. And the next day, she sees that man again in the store and follows him. But then she gets freaked out. She drags Abby out into the parking lot and refuses to explain anything. Margaret lies and tells her she's just upset because Abby will be going away to school soon. Well, Margaret starts slacking at work. She's very distracted, blows a presentation. She sits in the park and spots the man reading a newspaper across the way. She tells him to go away, but he claims at first to have no idea who she is. He then says Ben is in there with him and rubs his belly. He says she told him about Abby and her own name, even though she didn't. So he's kind of gaslighting her, it seems.
Yeah, he pretends not to know her, but he obviously does.
Mm-hmm. Well, Margaret goes to the police and tells them about David. They split up 22 years ago. And the officer is supportive and understanding, but there's nothing really he can do because David hasn't actually done anything. He hasn't approached her or threatened her in any tangible way.
Yeah.
So, do we leave it there?
A couple more sentences.
Okay. Well, Margaret and Gwen, the girl from work, she asks her if she could kill someone. And Gwen says, probably not. Well, Margaret confesses that she did something bad when she was young, something unforgivable.
And that's where we should stop.
And she gives a long and chilling monologue.
Oh, yes, she does.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a messed up movie.
Yeah. The cast is just really impressive in this, and the dialogue is really well written. Really impressed with the words that came out of their mouths and how they delivered them.
Yeah.
But then, it leaves you wondering, what happened? How'd that end?
And it's very open-ended. It's very vague. You can kind of read what you want into it.
Mm-hmm.
For a long while, we were wondering if David was even real or a figment of Margaret's imagination.
Yeah, because it did seem like he popped up a couple times when he would have no idea of nowhere. There's no way he could have predicted where she was.
Yeah.
Yet he was there.
He was outside of work when she ran out in panic.
Suspicious. Yeah.
At no point do we ever see David interact with anyone other than Margaret. I mean, if you've seen The Sixth Sense or something like that, you kind of watch for these kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
It's clear that Margaret is losing touch with her sanity, but is she simply becoming disconnected from reality? And if he is real, which one of them is the dangerous one?
Yeah, and is it just this thing that happened decades ago that is finally getting to her?
Maybe.
And coming to the surface?
Or is he
really there?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't know.
Either way, the suspense ramps up, albeit maybe a little too slowly for our tastes. There was about a half an hour too much angst in the middle, but the whole thing is definitely more of a psychological thriller than horror, at least up until the last few minutes. And we don't understand the final scene. And I'm not going to go into any more detail with that one, but there's a scene after the climax that this thing happens in a motel room that really wraps up. And at that point, I'm said, the screen goes to blank, and I'm like, stop there.
But they don't.
They didn't stop there.
Yeah.
What I am sure of is that there was a lot of tension build up with an inconclusive ending that felt kind of weak. And the ending is the horror element. It says here that I'm going to give this one a pretty low grade because of that. But just after I wrote all this, I still continued to think about it for a few days.
And so therefore,
I'm going to recommend it. I'm going to recommend it. It's good.
I'm going to recommend it because
it's a bad movie that you should watch.
Okay. But really powerhouse performances and excellent direction and dialogue. So
if you like to think about the movies, give it a shot.
Yeah.
If you like your answers clean cut and clear, maybe not.
Yeah, there you go.
What else did we watch?
Deadstream, another new one.
I prefer live streaming.
Oh, yeah, usually. And actually, I think I'm giving this one my best rating of the week. I think this was my favorite.
About 10 minutes in, and Kevin's like, I hope this guy dies soon. I hate this guy.
See, and that's what I like about it. Because once it gets going, you really get to like the guy and root for him.
Written and directed by Joseph Winter and Vanessa Winter. Written by Vanessa Winter and Joseph Winter. I see what they did there.
They reversed order, yes.
Stars, Joseph Winter, Melanie Stone and Jason K. Wixom. 1 hour, 29 minutes. Trailer in the show notes. What's our spoiler-free?
Spoiler-free judgment? Well, this is an extreme case of an influencer doing a live stream for views that gets way too real and goes off the rails. And the majority of the film is just Joseph Winter as Sean, who does a good job with it. The supporting cast and special effects are all really good. There's a lot of dark humor. And all in sum, it was a fun one to see.
Yeah, if you hate live streamers, well, you're going to hate the first 10 minutes of this. But then it gets good.
He is despicable.
He's a very stereotypical live streamer, YouTuber kind of guy.
Yeah, but it goes on, and it's like, oh yeah, you sympathize. Yeah.
Well, Sean is a live streamer slash YouTube guy who does a show where he confronts his greatest fears one at a time. That like Fear Factor meets Jackass?
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Except he's been sued nearly into oblivion for a prank gone wrong.
And we kind of gradually find out what it was that, a couple things it sounds like, but one major one that, he screwed up on and was poorly received by the public.
I don't see how these prank video guys ever survive more than...
Yeah.
Well, anyway, now he needs to make a big comeback. One fear that he hasn't yet faced is ghosts. For the next event, he's going to spend the night alone in a haunted house. Well, he chooses the most haunted house in the United States and will spend the night there. He is very annoying and does everything we hate with live streamers, including sponsorships. Hey, you guys should stop on over to horrorguys.com/books and pick up some of our Horror Guys guides.
We never do that.
Subtle, eh?
Yeah.
Okay, well, he doesn't want to get scared and run away, so he sabotages his own car, throwing the spark plugs into the woods. He pries the door open and goes inside the house. Just so he doesn't change his mind, he padlocks himself inside and throws the key down inside a heat register.
What could go wrong?
Yeah, that was not smart.
Yeah.
Well, he explores the main floor of the house, and it's about what you'd expect with garbage and graffiti in an old abandoned house. There's 3 rooms of the house that have actual documented paranormal activity. So he sets up little motion-activated cameras in various places. He explains the various ghost sightings of the past, and one death was of a tall man in the bedroom. Another was a weird poet who hung herself in the stairway, and then there was a whole family that died in the upstairs bedroom. Oh, there was also a death in the bathroom. Well, the people in the live stream chat tell Sean to provoke the spirits, and he aims to please. He tells a story about Mildred the poet, who is still collecting the souls she could never have in life. He does a really poor summoning type spell thing, and then runs away in fear even though nothing happens. One of Sean's cameras shows a ghostly presence, and he totally flips out. His viewers call him a wimp on the chat, so he goes back to that spot to investigate. There are sounds, and the doors do things. Sean screams like a little girl, but it turns out just to be Chrissy, one of his viewers who tracked him down to meet him. The chat people want Chrissy to stay as sort of a guest star.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he asks live on the air, do you want her to go or you want to stay? And
stay.
Yeah, the overwhelming comments are, yeah.
Okay, and things get escalate from there.
Things get wilder from there.
It's very suspenseful. 5 minutes into the film, Kevin said that he hoped Sean would die a painful death, and I think that was intentional on the filmmaker's part.
I think
he's
so.
An annoying character on purpose.
He's obnoxious, especially at the beginning. Yeah.
Actually, it's done so well that you start rooting for him the longer the movie goes on, and he does get less annoying and more relatable. The ghosts and things are creepy and believable, and things escalate nicely. It's funny, dumb, and really effective.
Yeah, my favorite of the week.
Short film, Guts.
Which was, that was something.
Written and directed by Chris McEnroy, stars Kirk Johnson, Jeremy King, and Mike Carrion. 8 minutes. Watch it on YouTube. What happens overall, sort of, kind of?
Well, Horace sits in his boss's office and is denied a promotion. It's because of my guts, isn't it? He's got a big hole where his belly should be, and his intestines and guts are literally visible and hanging out. He leaves a puddle of nastiness in the chair when he gets up.
They're leaky intestines, too.
But still, it's just a normal day in the office.
I'm pretty sure that this is the way real offices work. And I'm pretty sure I've worked at this place.
Well, that's what's funny about it, because they do work in all these normal office things with this absurd situation.
There's some pretty amazing gore here, too, but this is simply just hilarious on every level. One layer of awesomeness after another. Absolutely a must-see short.
And gross out.
It's funny that the best stuff this year has come out in the last few months. I would call this one of the better shorts this year.
I think this one is really up there. Yeah. Excellent.
So, what next?
Night of the Tommyknockers, another brand new one.
That's the Jimmy Smith's Stephen King thing, right?
No, different Tommyknockers.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, what are these guys? What's about here?
Well, this was directed by Michael Sue, written by Rolf
Rolf Konevsky, Michael
you.
Mahal, and Sonny
And
Mahal.
Sonny Mahal.
Richard Grieco, Tom Sizemore, and Robert Lasardo.
Names are
Trailer in the
hard.
show notes.
Names are hard. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
okay.
Yeah.
Spoiler free. This one is a creepy story in an excellent setting with good direction. The script, however, was a little bit talky with an overly large cast.
There's a lot of folks in this.
Too many people, really. There were some good performances, most notably and not surprisingly from the top 3 build guys, but also some of the acting here was not the strongest from the other people. It's like they needed a cast of 800 people and they just sort of like rounded up a bunch.
You can talk.
Here's
Get
your
over
lines.
here.
Read these.
Yeah.
Overall, though, it was a fun effort. Definitely worth a watch.
Yeah, overall, definitely a win.
Yeah. So it's kind of a zombie western, kind of. But not
Kinda.
exactly zombies.
Yeah.
What happens?
Tommyknockers. Well, the miners don't think the old mine can take any more dynamite. But that's okay, because there are worse things down there, like Tommyknockers. Think leprechauns, only bigger and meaner.
How did this guy know about the Tommyknockers?
They like their gold.
He makes it sound like it's an old Irish legend or something.
An old legend. Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah.
Well, he's right.
He's right, yeah. Well, one of the men up ahead yells that he found gold, and all the others run to join him, except for one guy that falls flat on his face. And when that guy gets up, well, he's pretty much the only one left. And credits roll.
Okay.
It's got a
monsters in a mine.
It's got a grim beginning for these guys, but we don't exactly see what got them. That comes later.
Something got him.
Yeah. Well, the Dirk gang is in town causing trouble. They rip off a guy gambling in the saloon, and then they stop in to rob a bank.
Yeah, as long as we're here.
Sure, yeah. Well, the rest of the town sets up an ambush outside the bank. They take Betsy, a bank employee, as a hostage. And there's a quick shootout where everyone mostly stands around out in the open and doesn't get hit.
The bad guys, there's like 5 of them standing on the corner of the bank,
the porch,
totally
yeah.
exposed, while the good guys are hiding behind stuff shooting at them, and nobody gets hit.
No, yeah. Well, the bad guys all get away. And the bandits make camp for the night, and we soon learn that Betsy was in on the caper the whole time. She's with them, faking it. Well, they all sit around the campfire and have a conversation. Dirk knows of a bank full of gold in Nevada. The gold miners there store all their gold in the local bank, and it's just sitting there waiting to be plundered. Tobin Horn, a Pinkerton, comes to town collecting bounties, and he wants to go after Dirk and his men. The dead bank manager's brother also swears to get revenge on the gang. Well, the gang arrives in the Nevada town, and they find the place deserted. They all search, but there's just nobody there. The horses, on the other hand, get spooked by something and run away. So
And then
they're kinda
night
stuck.
falls and bad things happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tommyknockers happen.
Knocking at your door. Mm-hmm. Well, they don't really knock.
Knock, knock.
Well, we recently watched Bridge of the Doomed by the same director and a lot of the same cast members. And we liked that one quite a bit. Mm-hmm. It was a bunch of soldiers defending a bridge against zombies and sort of military kind of monsters. It was good. We liked it.
Kind of the post-apocalyptic military dealing with the zombies.
Well, this one here, the Tommyknockers, did not have the clunky dialogue, that one didn't have the clunky dialogue that the Tommyknockers here had. But this one has much more elaborate sets and outdoor filming. So it's very cinematic.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of characters, and some of them are played by actors. Quite a few of them, however,
Yeah.
Actually, there are
It's
far
hit and
too
miss.
many characters, and most of them end up with some dialogue. So it's a very talky film, especially for the first hour. One question I had was, why, if this had been going on for several days in a row, would there be any townspeople at all left in town? They know what happens at night. Why wouldn't you leave town?
Yeah, I wondered that, because she did
It's
say at
perfectly
one
safe
point
in the daytime.
It's been like 3 days.
Yeah.
Do they, I hope that doesn't happen again tonight. And
I guess they
it
thought the
did,
monsters would just get bored and stay home.
and- yeah, they didn't. Yeah.
Now, the Tommyknockers themselves, the creatures, are really well done and look good. I was surprised at how good these things look.
Mm-hmm.
Once the monsters show up, the action really picks up as well.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely like this one.
Uh-huh.
And, that's all the movies for this week.
Oh.
Stop
We'll
in.
have to watch more.
We will.
Okay.
Stop in over at horrorguys.com and read all the reviews with spoilers. All these movies that we didn't spoil for you today, they're all on there in full detail. ruin yourself at your own risk. HorrorGuys.com to read the weekly reviews. HorrorBulletin.com to get up for our newsletter. HorrorGuysPodcast.com to listen to the podcast. And Horror Guys Shop to buy our books. Well, that's quite a list.
It is.
So we'll leave you now to go through the various websites, and we'll see you next week.
See ya.